It's been a tough week, gents. Tough couple of weeks in Suns basketball, let's be honest. Another loss yesterday. I think since Book's been out, we're 2-9. We're now on a 6-game losing streak, which
feels like a lot more.
Yeah, since the bubble, we certainly haven't felt this way for several years now as Suns fans. How did you find the week, Brandon?
How did I find the week?
Yeah.
Oh, man, brutal. I mean, I was even talking to Matthew Lissy last night of the Suns Jam Session podcast. I said, when was the last time we got a win? And I'm serious. Like, I know that we beat the Grizzlies and everything, but it really doesn't feel like it. It's tough days, man. I mean, you guys already know this. You can lose on any given night right now. And the Suns roster, I understand that we are completely injured. And I'm sure we're going to spend lots of time talking about the injuries and everything. But, man, it's just really hard to trust this roster right now. And I will say, in all fairness, I'm sure we're going to talk about it, the last 2 games have been a little bit surprising in a way. I mean, we have been a little bit competitive, and the defense has been pretty good. But there's lots of things that we need to work on right now. The offense needs to get going. And I used this word so much last night. I was so repetitive. I said efficient and consistency like so many times. That's what we need a lot of right now.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, and I think that was your last sort of comment there was spot on. At least the last 2 games, we're starting to see the energy, the effort.
Yeah.
If we see that, like, I don't care so much about the losses if you can see what they're trying to do. It's those losses where we're going 30 down in the first quarter and it does not seem like there's any effort. They're the ones that just drive me crazy.
Yeah. It's embarrassing at that point. I mean, somebody I'm sorry to cut you off, Sir Hamo, but somebody tweeted this out perfectly, and they're like, how many games have been over by halftime, and how is this acceptable? Like, it shouldn't be acceptable. These losses shouldn't be happening. That's all I want.
And some of them by quarter time.
Yeah.
I mean, we had even though what was it? There was a game. We only scored 11 in the first quarter, and the game was effectively done at quarter time.
That was New York, yeah.
Yeah, and I know that the following game against Cleveland, we only scored 14 or 16 in the first quarter, but we also kept them down. So the game was tight. And then we obviously had a great second quarter and even a great third quarter, but just got run over. I think they ran out of legs in that Cleveland game. And honestly, I think we saw a bit of that against Miami too. We just sort of ran out of legs, especially once CP went down.
Yeah.
We just sort of ran out of legs.
So to speak.
How did you find the week, Boyd?
Yeah, look, I haven't placed the. I mean, I go into every game thinking there's a possibility to win, and you guys know this better than anyone. But look, I haven't got myself up. Look, I haven't got my spirits up before games for a long time. Ever since we've just been ravished with injuries, and look, I honestly feel like, and I think I put a big fucking post in our chat during the week, Gav. I honestly feel like there's silver linings to this week and this past month. I think what I really didn't like about last season was the fact that we went all out during the season and we fucking pedal to the metal and we flamed out in the end, whether it be COVID or injuries or just lack of juice, who knows. But what I like about this is we were a regular season team and we got tagged with that last season. We were just a regular season team and we didn't have the chops to match it with the fucking Lucas of the world and Nelly the Pelicans and all these other guys when it came money time. Now I feel like we're being a lot more cautious with niggles this season, which is fine by me. I feel like we're positioning ourselves really well before the trade deadline for a good trade, because guess what? We're showcasing all of our fucking depth. Everyone's got that little bit more value leading up to the perfect time of the year. We've also got our draft picks don't look like they did when we were talking about, preseason Kevin Durant, like the big name like Shea Gilgeous, Alexander. When we were talking about them trades, our draft picks had no fucking weight in the world. Now, what are we? 500.
Yeah.
Now there's a chance that there's going to be this middling team that's going to see us and think maybe this isn't a fucking flash in the pan. Maybe this is how their season's going to finish as well, and maybe that draft pick is going to get us a lottery chance at fucking Wemby. And look, that's what we need to hope happens, and that's the perfect silver lining that we get out of this little shit stop that we're having. And I think, look, if we can just ride this out, make the right move sometime before trade deadline, get our players not even fully healthy, somewhat healthy.
Yep.
We can make a charge to the end of the season, get a top 6 spot, top 4, whatever. I'm still going for number 1. And then we can fucking we can make some noise with a really nice piece that we've added, and all of our guys who are fairly well rested, and just peaking at the right time. So long-winded, Gav, but my last couple of weeks have been my sort of frame of thinking for the last probably month or two. So there you go.
Well done, Boyd.
Hey, hang on. Has he frozen? Has he frozen, or have I just bored him to death? Hang on. What's going on?
You're 100% right. It's been a real tough week. You know, we need to get the team back together. They need to get the time together on the court, and we need to try and make something out of Jay Crowder. You know what I mean? There's missing pieces, and yeah, I'm happy if we're resting. You know, prehab, whatever you want to call it. Happy if we're doing that, man, because that, you know, we've been pushing so hard for so long. These boys need to, you know, some people frown upon load management, whatever you want to call it, fatigue management. Not here,
we're doing it.
No way.
Hamo, you're right, mate. We're definitely doing it, and I fucking hate it myself. I don't like when we do this shit. But it's what we're doing. We have to come to terms with it. I mean, look, for Christ's sakes, we're banking on fucking Dwayne Washington Jr., Landry Shamet, and Torrey Craig to be the guts of a winning streak on the road. You know what I mean? It's really, we need to step back and just think.
If Gav was here, he'd be screaming at Kogi. So you know, Kogi's got to be there as well.
Oh yeah, of course. But yeah, I don't know, Sons Geek. What do you? Sorry, what's your real name again?
Brandon, but everyone calls me Sons Geek. Even some of my closest friends call me Sons Geek.
I remember, just on a little tangent here. We do you remember that late night Zoom that we did?
Yeah,
ages ago, and we were up talking about extending Ricky Rubio and all this sort of shit.
I referenced that before you hopped on. I was like, you were making me laugh my ass off that night, man. Like, I told them, I was like, that was like a son's therapy session too, man. I remember I was on there for like 5 minutes, but I was just listening most of the time. I only talked for like a couple minutes, but that was a good time.
It was good, man. It was good. Yeah.
Well, while we're waiting for Gav, why don't we move on into the player of the week?
Yeah.
Let's get it.
So we'll start with Sons Geek. Player of the week over the last 3 games. We're looking at this week being the Knicks, the loss of 102 to 83, the Cavs, which was 90 to whatever that was, and then the Heat, the loss as well. So it's not great, but we still have to try and pick a player of the week. So who you got in mind there, Sons Geek?
I probably should have done a little more statistical homework with this, but I'm going to use my cop-out answer here. Can I have 2 answers here? Chris Paul and Torrey Craig. Now, I don't really remember what Torrey Craig did in the last couple of games. What he did last night was player of the week, you know, honorable mention. You know what I mean? He was absolutely fantastic. If we don't have Torrey Craig last night, who knows what would have happened? We probably would have gotten blown out again. But Chris Paul, you know, with some of the criticism that he is receiving, oh, he's 37 now and he's regressing and all that. He has had some really great statistical games out there. And look, I'm not a big football guy at all, but like I always reference the quarterback, like he is our quarterback of this team. And even if he has nights where he's not struggling or he's struggling, but he's not really the Chris Paul that we all know and love, he still puts up pretty decent numbers from time to time. And again, he's out there to control the game. help our Phoenix Suns players out, get guys in the right spots. And again, just being a quarterback out there. So I'm going to pick Chris Paul and Torrey Craig. I just wish I had the numbers to back all that up.
Yeah. Gav, while you're
Yeah,
away,
that was unfortunate.
So Suns Geeks just had his go.
Very good.
So you're up.
Well, have you and Boyd gone yet?
No, not as yet. Boyd?
So I'm gonna look. I agree with Suns Geek on the whole. Chris Paul, I thought it was very much an individual performance. He's generally a guy where I'm more inclined to give Chris Paul a Player of the Week if he's banging out 10 to 15 assists and he can give me 8, 9, 10 points. And I place value in Chris Paul when I see him getting other guys going. But I think he had a couple of flashes of his old self this week, and especially that 25-point game. And taking scoring on more. That's been great. But look, Torrey Craig for me, and he was your runner-up, Suns Geek. But I think he's given us so much more than what we expected, and just from an energy and a hustle perspective, it's just rebounding. He's getting in there, and he's there for he's a shot at almost every single offensive rebound opportunity for us, and things like that. And they're the moments that spark the team up and do the things. You remember there was a stretch there where Chris Paul was grabbing, jumping in passing lanes and getting 5 or 6 steals per game. Them moments, they're transitional moments for the whole team as well. They get us going, and the offensive rebounds and the putbacks and shit. Torrey Craig has been fucking unreal in that regard, and I think that's been better for the team ultimately. So yeah, Torrey Craig for me.
What about you, Hamo?
Well, I did look at statistics, and I'm going to go with Ayton. Now, admittedly, his game against the Knicks wasn't the greatest. So he had 12 points, 5 rebounds, 2 assists. But since then, it just really jumped. Against the Cavs, man, 15 points, 18 rebounds, 1 assist. The assists, not a problem. And then again, against the Heat, man, 23, 14, and 2. Like, there's some solid numbers for a guy who cops some really, really heavy criticism, especially from people that shouldn't.
Well, I watched a fun debate on the He's on Fire podcast the other day where Evan lost his fucking mind about DA.
Was that in regards to Sabonis?
Yeah, he did a bit of a comparison thing of like which center would you prefer, blah blah blah. And his first one was Ayton and Sabonis, and everybody on the show said, well, there was only 2 others. It was Jay and Justin, but they both said Ayton, and then the chat went nuts and went Ayton, and he just went, "Are you people all fucking mad?" And then went on a rant about DA for like 10 minutes. It was great.
He's my Player of the Week. I think he did real damn good.
He really does have. He has had some games where I think it gets overlooked by certain players, or maybe by the loss, if that makes sense. But you are right. DeAndre Ayton played really well. I did kind of want to reference him. And just for the record, I did pull up the stats for Chris Paul. Pretty much in short, 13 points. Now, the assists are really low. But I don't know if that really counts because, I mean, the Miami game, he only played 12 minutes. But he is shooting 48% in January. Torrey Craig, however, this month, 8 points per game, 7 rebounds. And you know what? One thing that, I mean, I don't know if he's really done it recently, is the corner 3. Torrey Craig has been fantastic at shooting, making, and taking that corner 3. But DeAndre Ayton, again, sometimes this game gets overlooked.
Yeah, I'm with Hamo. My Player of the Week was DA. I think he had one bad game in the since we potted last.
That's a cool jersey.
I think he's been absolutely fantastic since Booker's been out. We still don't run the offense through him, and he's still putting up those numbers. Now, the biggest knock on DA is obviously the rebounding, because that's where people really crack the shits. When he has a game where he's just not pulling down rebounds. But the fact of the matter is, his last couple of games in particular, and Hamo, you referenced the stats, he's had something like 32 rebounds in the last 2 games.
Mm.
Now, that's what we
32.
want from DA, right? Now, if people want to see DA scoring 30 points a game, it's not going to happen because that's not the way we run our offense. Our offense runs through the guards. We're a pull-up jump shooting type team. I think against the Cavs, that last shot should have gone to DA. He dominated that game and he destroyed Jared Allen.
Yeah, Jared.
Is that who
Allen.
he played on?
Yeah, Jared. Allen.
He absolutely destroyed, and he was fantastic in that game. And
the
ball
Suns were
really
pretty
should
good
have
in that
gone
game too.
They really were. And Mikhail didn't have a great game, but when I say the ball should go to Ayton, I mean Suns Twitter blew up again. You know, Monty draws the worst plays in the history of the world, and blah blah blah. And I gave someone a spray because I just had enough, and I gave someone a spray there. But reality is that last shot, that's a play that we've run. We run 20 times a game, and it works. Mikhail comes off a high screen, catches the ball, shoots a mid-range jumper from the foul line. We run it over and over again. It's a set play. It wasn't contested. It wasn't anything else. That was a damn good shot.